Hello, welcome to the Live with Aaron and Kelly show. This is Mabel Aragon sitting here for Kelly, and we've been having a very exciting morning. We have KC Murdock joining us, who's going to be talking to us about his new web series, some of his music, which we're listening to, and a lot of other projects. So welcome.
Welcome, Casey.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Big fan of Aaron and Kelly.
Thank you so much, Casey. Well, it's a pleasure having you. We've been listening to some of your music throughout the show. What particular song are we listening to right now?
I believe he's playing Villain or Hero again. Yeah, that's my newest single. It's just an acoustic version. The full album will have drums on it and everything. But that's a song inspired by Comic-Con. I wrote a couple of years ago, right after leaving Comic-Con.
Very nice sound. In fact, I happened to be reading, they asked you, what type of genre is it? And you said it's kind of a combination of country.
It's country blues rock, I would say, yeah. People have a hard time when I say it's strictly country. It's not 100% country.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's strictly country.
But listening to rock these days, it's definitely not rock either.
Well, and again, that's why, I hear a lot of people. I was just with a person from Fox, and they said they like to listen to a lot of different music and hear new things. Sometimes you can't define it, but it is what it is. And for those who don't know, you and I met back at Comic-Con.
Yeah, Wizard World Comic-Con.
Right, Wizard World. Yeah, that was
Anaheim.
Wizard World. Yeah, you were
the one and only year they did it there.
That's right. Well, they did one before that, but I saw him, and he was doing his thing, and you had your whole crew together. You've been doing coverage of Comic-Cons for how long?
A year now.
Is it?
It's only been a year.
Oh, that was the first time?
That was my very first one. Did you get my text the other day? I was going through some old footage of that. And I was looking through my very first promo I put together, and sure enough, there's Aaron Sanchez.
Before he knew me.
Yeah, standing in line to get his press pass behind Charles Fleischer, who's just going off on camera, just being Charles.
Oh, I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, so, and all of a sudden I see you, and you look right into the camera, and just like, what are these guys doing over here? And I was like,
because I loved your setup. I was like, hey, we got to be together. But it just turned out the universes collided, and
That's Comic-Con for you, though.
That's Comic-Con, right? Yeah. Now, Comic-Con's coming up as well, right?
I'm excited. I'm so excited. It's my yearly mecca. Yeah, you know that. San Diego Comic-Con is the big Comic-Con. I got my web series coming out called Chronicles of Comic-Con, which is based on adventures I put together at different Comic-Cons. It's not the San Diego Comic-Con.
Right, and you have some big names in this. And this is what is this, a web series?
Yes, it's going to be a web series. It airs on Monday, so that'll be the first official episode.
Awesome.
And it's 100% free, fan-based series, so you won't have to pay a dime to see it or check it out. Just go to chroniclesofcomiccon.com, and it will lead you exactly where you need to go.
That's awesome. And you've got, tell us some of the names you got there.
Well, we got the big surprise, Kevin Sorbo, who was Hercules on Legend of Hercules back in the good old days.
Right.
Gotta love that. He's a regular guest host on Live with Kelly out of New York. I also
wait, what? Live with Kelly?
Some TV show that you've got reviews on it.
No.
Never heard of it. Anyway, my bad.
Well, he means Live with Aaron and Kelly. No,
yeah, exactly.
But we've met Kevin Sorbo. He's just
a great guy and has an awesome foundation out there, World Fit for Kids. .org. Go check it out.
He's so, when you have these muscular men that, know.
He's a teddy bear.
You would think the opposite, like maybe they're not so nice in person. He's exactly that.
He is absolutely awesome. Shortly after he did this for me, we had a nice conversation, me, myself, him, and Elena Huffman in the airport.
Elena's great, too.
I love Elena. Yeah,
right?
She's awesome.
Sci-fi.
Congratulations on the new baby, Elena.
She was pregnant, huh?
Yeah, she was pregnant at the time, so she's not doing the Comic-Con tour right now because she's being a stay-at-home mom and enjoying the kids.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, you have quite a few people. some very impressive individuals
Vernon
that are
G. Wells,
involved.
awesome. Love you, Vernon. Thank you very much for doing this for me. Very much appreciate that. Ran into him at Phoenix, and he was nice enough to do a couple hilarious scenes to the point where I had the camera shaking and I had to cut because I was laughing so hard.
That's hard sometimes.
Yeah.
What do you think enticed all of these individuals to be a part of this?
I'm hoping they like the concept because most of this is on the fly. When I'm traveling around to different Comic-Cons, I know the celebrities that are going to be there. but I don't know who I'm going to be able to get to actually do something on camera.
Right.
You know?
And they're in the mix of like meeting other people.
And they're meeting other people.
So
they're
you're
doing
actually
celebrity.
asking
they're
them
doing autographs
at the event. You're not asking them beforehand or anything.
That's almost impossible anyway. And I think one of the enticing things is look, I'm kind of a geek. I'm a nerd. I can admit it. And I'm a fan.
I can admit it.
I'm a fan of these people. I'm a fan of these actors. And this is a fan-based project. This is something fun. This is free. So they don't have to worry about money. Yeah, you know, tying into lawyers and all that. This is just something fun they can let loose. And all of it, I go in there with an idea, but all of these actors pretty much made up what they were saying and scripted it as they went along. This is 100% them being creative.
Yeah, right. And you happen to get, what, Chewbacca?
I got Peter Mayhew to do a scene. He makes a special appearance, the original Chewbacca, for those of you who already know who Peter Mayhew is.
Right.
If you don't, Chewbacca.
Yeah, Mr. Chewbacca himself. And I liked it because, you know, again, you had all these different people just partaking in it. And I was almost like, wait, is this real or not real? Or is he a fan, not a fan? And then I got it. Then I understood.
Right. And I used a lot of cosplayers. So I'll explain what a cosplayer is for you since you're not a Comic-Con.
Oh, that's right. Explain to the people.
Okay, so
there's a lot of people that aren't comic.
Yeah. Here's what cosplayers are.
Be.
Yeah, people who are hardcore and love their Comic-Con, they go to Comic-Cons dressed up as their favorite game, their favorite TV or movie star, their favorite comic book character, superhero, or villain.
Oh, that's great.
You name it. You see people dressed up as some of the weirdest. Sometimes you got to go up and ask them, what are you? Please explain to me what your costume is. So, costume players, it's a big social networking thing out there now. It's huge. There's people writing books on it. It's a lot of fun. And these are just regular people that are hardcore fans about a specific subject or many subjects.
I know the two of you will be joining. Will there be costumes?
I haven't decided that yet.
I come traveling in costume.
I don't know. I haven't decided that yet. Maybe I could pull off like the Clark Kent look.
You definitely could.
I could do the Clark Kent.
All you got to do the white shirt and just have Superman underneath, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Super A. Okay. Not triple A.
Yeah.
AA.
Nice segue into Superman, because I know you're excited for that.
I am.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. Next Saturday, we're at Comic-Con. They're going to announce, well, they've already announced, but they're probably going to show something from it. Which will be
always.
And you know that's going to leak on YouTube. So we'll have it for you, absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be easy to find.
And we're going to talk pretty soon about the business side. Like you have the web series. How do we take the business side? Can we self-publish? How can filmmakers across the country tap into this? When we come back, we are going to have filmmakingstuff.com. We're going to have him come on, and he's going to talk a little bit about that, give us some education on movie filmmaking.
And provide us with a little insight.
That's right. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Live with Aaron and Kelly. That's right. Welcome back to Live with Aaron and Kelly show. Mabel and Casey as well. We have on the phone with us Jason Brubaker. Now, he's a Hollywood-based independent motion picture producer, and we talk always about distributing your stuff. We talk about crowdfunding. Well, he knows all that because he has wrote a book on it. So let's talk to him right now. Jason, are you on the line?
I'm here with you.
Thank you for being on our show. We got you like super last minute. But Jason, you were on the morning show with Paul Lane and Aaron Brinker. Thank you so very much for joining us. And John Watanabe. He's shouting across the room. But you have some interesting stuff. Now, you got to tell us, if I'm an aspiring filmmaker, I'm living in a small town, what do I need to do? Do I need to move to Hollywood, or what do I do?
Well, in the past, production technology, all of that was cost prohibitive, and then getting distribution for any sort of movie, it was nearly impossible without having Hollywood connections. So I think you really got a leg up if you were living in Hollywood in the past. But these days, the only thing aspiring filmmaker needs is a good camera that you can pick up at a local electronics store and access to the internet.
Right, and I mean, you have. People are wondering how do you get money, though?
Well, it depends on the scope and scale of your project. I often say, there's a lot of people that make excuses for not taking action and making their content. So I think one of the fundamental questions that at least changed my life is, instead of asking, how am I going to get $1 gazillion to make a movie, I would rather ask, given the resources that I have right now, what is the movie that I can make this year? And if you can find an answer to that question, you're going to get a lot closer to at least getting on the map with your first feature film.
It's good advice.
I have a question for you. This is Mabel. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too.
You were saying that really it's about, just having the equipment, producing something, and putting it online. But how do you get distribution? Is online sufficient, or how do you get it to the higher ups? And
well, I think online distribution is sufficient. I don't know the last time I've walked into a video rental store, and there's a lot of kids growing up right now that they don't even understand the concept of, at the very least, walking into a music store.
Right, that's true.
And we're seeing the same thing take place with video rentals. So you have to ask yourself, how are people finding content? And the internet, I think, is the gateway to that. In terms of where people shop, there's 3 very popular platforms that anybody can access these days. There's Hulu, iTunes, and Amazon.
Okay.
And those are all platforms that anyone has the capability of showing some of their material.
Correct. Yeah, and I want to be very clear. Some of those platforms do require, the title of my book is, or the subtitle is, How to Make, Market, and Sell Your Movie Without the Middleman. But in a lot of cases, you still have to utilize a middleman. These are called aggregators, and these are the folks between you and those marketplaces. The reason for the aggregators is there's a lot of, because each platform, like iTunes, for example, wants to be the best and have the best quality product, you oftentimes have to go through these middlemen to make sure that your encoding meets iTunes spec. I don't want to get overly nerdy about that stuff, but
we'll get nerdy later. That'll be the after party.
Yeah, we'll get uber nerdy then.
Yeah.
But my point being is, you can now access these marketplaces. So, if you look at traditional distributors where they're like, hey, I'm going to get your movie on the iTunes. Well, in the past, you might have been kind of a slave to whatever silly offer that they give you just for that privilege. But these days, you can say, so what? I can get my own movie on the iTunes. What other value are you bringing to the equation?
Well, I have to say, I believe it came out in the news, Netflix, which is another online streaming, just hit 1 billion views, or 1 billion hours, 1 billion hours in content, people streaming. But I got to ask you, before we let you go, because we're running out of time, what 3 things can aspiring filmmakers do today to get closer to making that film of theirs? What 3 things?
Well, sure. Because it's the Wild West, I would say research this thing called crowdfunding. Get out there and make sure that you're very social media savvy and build a following. The gentleman that you had on earlier, who's doing the Comic-Con Chronicles,
still here.
Great example of that. He's going to source a lot of people, and he can utilize those folks later for other projects. And of course, the third one is grab a copy of my latest book, Filmmaking Stuff, over at filmmakingstuff.com.
Okay, so go to that, and we can get your book. I'm going to get on it today, get my book, so that I'm totally on it. Go to filmmakingstuff.com. You also have a Facebook and Twitter. You can connect to all that. Thank you so very much for taking a moment of your time today with us.
My pleasure, guys. Happy filmmaking.
Thank you.
Thank you for those useful tips.
Yeah, sage advice, really.
Right? I know. I mean, that's the type of stuff that, again, people don't like to share. They know it, and then they hold on to it, and you're like, well, how?
And look, and you and I both know we have the same concept. And the one thing you take away from what he just said there is, think about what you can put out today. What can you go do? What can you accomplish? Not my dream picture, not my, hey, I got a movie I would love to sink $5 million into, but what can I really do?
Right, yeah. Well, we were there with Christopher Nolan. He talked about, he did his first project, $6,000 he spent on just the film, to get the film, to acquire the film to do it, and he got a lot of favors put in.
Right.
And, I mean, you have a camera, I have a camera. I have to admit, that kind of inspired me a little bit further.
Helps.
Very good. But that was great. Now, Casey, you've got, at Comic-Con, I hear you have like a concert. You have a concert there.
Well, actually, yes. Since I started down the road show, I've only been doing like one show a year, so I like to make sure it's a special show. So last year I opened up for Mark Christopher Lawrence, who's an actor and a comedian.
Absolutely, he's a great guy.
Great guy. So
you hook up with a lot of good actors.
I like them. They're good people.
He's networking with the right people.
Right. I opened for his comedy show last year at Comic-Con. Well, this year I have the fortunate opportunity to open for Jason Charles Miller. He just released his second country album on the 4th of July called Natural Born Killer. It's a great album. He's got a great sound. We've never played on the same stage, so I'm really looking forward to opening for him. It's going to be a lot of fun. He's actually opening for Toby Keith here later on this month at the Greek Theater.
Wow, that's fantastic.
What can people expect during this performance? I know you were kind of sharing with me that depending on the performance, sometimes you have different instruments, or what can people expect?
It should be a very country set. I got a fiddle player coming in that I'm also loaning to Jason because his couldn't make it, so I wanted to.
Wait, you're loaning a fiddle player? Is that what you just said?
Jason,
I'm a fiddle player. Check me out.
A good fiddle player can play with anyone. That's the beauty of a fiddle player.
Yeah, some nice
you can have my fiddle player.
Exactly. I do have great musicians.
Can I borrow your fiddle player?
After this, I'm driving back to Orange County to meet the band for our one and only practice for our set. That's how good my guys are. That's how much faith, love you guys, that I have in them. We're having one practice. We haven't even played together since we opened for Rampage's event in Rampage Jackson in October. So
for those that don't know what we're talking about, Rampage Jackson, he had a huge event over because he opened his own gym. You performed there. Gym, yeah, that was great.
That was fun. Got to talk to a lot of UFC stars.
Tito Puente was there.
Oh.
No, not Tito Puente. I'm sorry, wrong one.
Tito Ortiz.
Sorry, Tito Ortiz. Wrong one. Puente Ortiz. I get confused.
It was Tito Jackson. Tito Jackson Brothers.
Tito Jackson.
You were wrong on all fronts.
What?
Well, we're wrong. It seems like on all fronts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's easy to do though. Tito's huge and he's kind of intimidating, so you kind of lose.
He is intimidating.
You lose your train of thought.
He's just
a huge guy, but he's really nice. Really nice.
He is. Yeah. He was really nice.
But so that's next Sunday, July 15th.
Yeah.
Doors open at 5 o'clock. It's at the Stage Theater in the Gaslamp District in downtown San Diego. So for all of you Comic-Con geeks that are going to be down there anyway,
visit.
The doors close for Comic-Con at 5 p.m. So boom, mosey across the street, and I go on at 6, and Jason Charles Miller goes on at 7, and we have a super secret special guest that Jason won't even tell me because he won't tell me who it is because he doesn't trust me.
I was gonna say, I think we can release it here on the Live with Aaron and Kelly.
But Jason knows
that's
a lot
probably why
of
he
people.
didn't tell you.
Yeah, that's probably why. He knows a lot of people. He works with Felicia Day regularly and does music for a lot of web series and does voiceovers for video games.
So what's next for you?
Anyone.
What do you want to do? What's next?
What doesn't he want to do?
Okay, what I need to do is get back in the album and record. Get back in the studio and record the next album.
Okay.
So it's been a couple of years since I put out the last one, and I got the single out there, which is a hint to what's coming for the next album. So I need to do that. But other than that, it's put out Chronicles of Comic-Con Season 1. Start filming for Chronicles of Comic-Con Season 2 this weekend at San Diego. This next weekend at San Diego. And other than that, continue with Down the Road Show and have fun with that. We just picked up a new blogger for the website, so that's a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
With your next album, will it be kind of a same type of feeling for this one? Like, this one's great. I mean, we've been listening to it throughout the show.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of love songs. I'm a sap. What can I say? I'm still trying to write the perfect love song. So always chasing that dream. As a big, grew up. Chicago was one of my all-time favorite bands. Seen them more time live than any other band I've ever seen.
I heard them.
And and they are great.
In concert,
when you think of Chicago, you think of all these just quintessential love songs from the 80s, with Peter Cetera and, the different formats they had and whatnot. And so that's me constantly chasing that.
Well, we got to wrap up.
Job.
Yeah, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, I'll see you next week.
Okay, I'll see you next week.
So much,
and it was a pleasure meeting you.
Oh,
you are awesome.
Absolutely. And we thank you for watching and listening to our show Live with Aaron and Kelly. Remember, you can find us Facebook.com, Aaron M. Sanchez, Kelly V. Dolan, Mabel P. Aragon on Twitter.
Thank you for having me.
KC, what's your Twitter?
ChroniclesofComicCon.com. Join us at Down the Road Show Twitter.
Tune in next week. We'll be right here live with Aaron and Kelly. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Enjoy. Have a good
Bye,
day.
y'all.